going on to day 2, and we'll start with obviously race 1, the Ballymore Novices Hurdle. Now, this is probably turning out to be one of the best races of the week, I'd say. Looking at how deep it is, when you've got the likes of Hermes Allen in there, 11-4, Imperial Pass 3-1. Oh, it's might go further Imperial Pass actually. Gaelic Warrior 4-1, Good Land 5-1, Fast Sal Vegas in here 6-1, Champ Kylie 8-1. In the Pocket 12-1, Absolute Notion 16-1, 16-1 the rest. What are your thoughts on the Ballymore then, mate?
My thoughts, I'm sticking with Barry O'Connell. I love Good Land. The last day, I thought he was so impressive. Travelled well, last off the bridle, looked like he idled a bit in front. As soon as the horse come next to him, he just carried on running. The form has been boosted, and I think a few of these in here could be questionable. I think Gaelic Warriors, he's a big baby, isn't he? He's a big baby.
To be fair.
No.
That jumping's just crazy, isn't it, that jumping?
Yeah, I think he's definitely value. I put a bet on him today, actually, because I really do think 5-1 will be a lot shorter. I think he'll go off 3-2-1. It definitely won't be an each-way price. And I think
the money will come in for him, Good Land.
100%. I think the Irish are going to be strong on him. I think Barry O'Connell has got 2 good things this year.
He certainly talks good game, does old Barry on the old social medias, doesn't he? He's doing a few interviews, stuck in, he says, won't lose, all that.
I mean, you've got to think he's going to look like a tool, isn't he, if he's got them both completely wrong. I think both of his horses have got improvement, and I'm looking forward to them. And like you say, I'm looking forward to this race. It's not a huge betting race for me, but I've got a nice bet on Good Land. What's your thoughts, mate?
Good lad. Good lad for Good Land. Yeah, there's some good types in here. Hermes Allen, the Challo winner. A lot of winners have come out of that Challo, but obviously the sort of the way Challo winners go in the Cheltenham Festival is not normally very good.
No.
Imperial Pass is the interesting one. I've seen a lot of people talking him up lately, especially on a few of the other preview nights. But to me, he's just a little bit too short. I'd say he's won a couple of decent races, but on heavy ground. The Nace Maiden were a poor race, big step up here early on in his career. For me, he's going to be an horse for next year. I'm not sure he's going to. I think he's going to get a bit lit up in this.
Yeah,
I mean, he's a bit took off his feet. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, 1-3, he won the last day. He was expected to win and win well, and he done that. But I feel like Good Land's got the form. I mean, like you say there, he could be anything, but I feel like Good Land beats him to that. Just a quick mention of one horse in the Pocket. I've got a small each way on too. I like this one. I think he ran a good race last time. I think the distance should improve him. The only thing can be a bit babyish. When he beat 3-Card Bragg, he ran around before the line. I think he still had a lot in the tank, and Rachel said after the race that she got there too early, blah-de-blah. I think if he gets a nice lead, he could finish a place, but like I say, my bet's Good Land.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on Good Land, to be fair. It looked really talented. That DRF run was really good. I love the way he travelled, he jumped, come to the front, took it up off where we've all been caught, and they weren't going to catch him, they were staying up all the way to the line. Run through the line, looked really impressive. I agree with you. I think in the Pocket's probably got a great chance. I think he could definitely follow him home. I think that little it seems to have a bit of a turn of pace to him. But like you say on that last run where he beat 3-Card Bragg, oh sorry, not the last run, but the 3-Card Bragg race, I was a little bit. I didn't think it looked like he was going to stay. I thought I think it stretched in the trip, but the way he does travel, if he can get himself covered up, he could come a little bit later on, like you say. Rachel sort of said I was holding on to him as long as I possibly could. I didn't want him to go too early. Obviously, there were hurdles taken out. It was a little bit of a messy race, but it did look, and I think sort of 12-1 mark. It is a good each way price, to be fair, but I think Good Land is probably a good thing for me. I'm in your camp with that, and I think he'll go and win, and hopefully it pulls up the O'Connell double.
The two, hopefully Tuesday, Wednesday, are both started with Barry O'Connell winners.
I'm a little bit like they'll either both win or both pull up.
Yeah, 100%. And I think
it's all or nothing, isn't it?
I think he'd be a very popular man if the double comes in.
Oh, a bit more sated man in Cheltenham if they don't win. Right, the Brown Advisory, Novices Chase, 3 mile old course. We've got Jerry Colombe 7-4, Mighty Potter won't go away 7-2, the Real Whacker 9-2, Sir Gerhard 5-1, Time Hill 11-2, and then you're into 6-1 bar, Gelard, Demisniels, things like that, but they'll probably go National Hunt Chase. Short price favour again, Jerry Colombe. What do you think on his chances in this?
He knows
Are you with him or against him?
But I'm against for the value.
Interesting.
Yeah, against. Now, this horse is probably going to surprise you. Time Hill.
Oh.
I really like Time Hill. I think
you'd be surprised if you saw my notes then saying that. I've got
Very,
him bolded. I've got him bolded.
Very, very classy horse. I think he's going to stay the trip, 3 mile. My only doubt with Time Hill is the obstacles. The day before last, he wasn't very efficient. He looked to turn a corner the last day. The form hasn't been boosted as such with McFabulous, but he's beaten by 15 lengths. He's stayed on. He's won comfortably. I just think if he was in the stairs, he'd be a very short price. I think if he jumps, and I think with this one, you'll probably know within the first two, three fences, if he jumps them well and gets in a rhythm, I can see him staying right the way at the line, and I could see him giving Jerry Colombe a big problem. And I think at the prices, he's definitely the value in the race.
Yeah, I think you've got a good pick there. Time Hill, it sort of reminds me a little bit of Champ.
Yeah.
How we know he stays. He's got good form over hurdles. We know he stays the 3 miles. But like you say, it's whether he can jump over the obstacles, and obviously the end of the game is jumping. But like Champ's proven you don't actually have to jump very well to win this sort of race. But
no,
the more I do think about it, and the more I've looked at Jerry Colombe, I think I'm going to get stuck into Jerry Colombe. To be honest, I think the Sandown run was impressive. We all thought he was heavy ground dependent. He's gone to Sandown on sort of good to soft ground, and he's on a shorter trip as well, and he's shown a little bit of a turn of foot, and he's outstayed him up the Sandown straight. So I think he's going to come here. I think he's going to get okay ground for him. I think he obviously not as ground dependent as we thought, and I think he's going to go and win. I think he's a bit of a good thing, to be honest. I don't think obviously jumping Time Hill, I think it will undo him, to be honest. I couldn't give a squeak to the Real Whacker. I think he's a bit overrated.
Yeah.
Sir Gerhard, the other one, I don't like him for this either. I think coming into this off one run where he jumped poorly. I thought last year's Ballymore, he got a bit of a freebie. It was an absolute monsoon. I was stood there absolutely soaking wet, and he just got a freebie up front and they couldn't get to him. I don't think he'll go well in this. Personally, I think this will skip Cheltenham and wait for the later festivals, but it looks like they are going to go here. But as far as I'm concerned, I think it's going to be a short winner for the Irish in Jerry Colombe.
Like I say, I do like Jerry, but I think Time Hill's probably, the value. I mean, for me, if I could bet and play, I'd be waiting to see the first 2 fences. If he smacks one, I'm not on him. But I do think he's a value, and I can see if he gets in a rhythm, there's no reason he can't stay the 3 mile because he's done it before. He's had a nice race and a good layoff. He'll be fresh, which he wants. But like I do say, I mean, Jerry Colombe's just got 1-1-1-1-1-1-1 next to his form. The guy knows how to win.
Yeah.
Sandown's probably helped because, recently as well, a lot of the Irish horses, some of them don't perform over in England, and this lad does. So there's not many questions to be asked of him. You just hope he goes and wins on the day. So for me, my pick for this one is a bit of my pick is Time Hill each way, but I would have a small little forecast. Jerry Colombe, Time Hill second.
Oh, tasty. That's probably the most realistic outcome of the race, to be fair. So yeah, happy with that one. Next one then, the Champion Chase. I think we're going to be split here, but you've got Energamine 15-8. You've got Edward Stone 15-8. I can't even say this one. Editor de Gite 13-2. Gentleman Demi 9-1. Blue Lord 10-1. 20-1. The rest. Are you Energamine, or are you Edward Stone, or are you something else?
I am Energamine. I think he didn't show himself the last day. I think Paul sort of just let him ball on, but nipped him back after the fence. I feel when I've watched him run his good races, he's had plenty of room to jump forward, and this is another one who gains lengths at fences. Every time he jumped, he was jumping into the back and he was getting pulled back, jumping, and he did set him up a bit. When you watch the race back, he was very free in the hands, which you could say took the sting out of him. I think he smashed the last, which is not normally like him, really. He's normally a really good jumper.
Yeah, with a bad jump, wasn't it?
Really bad jump. I think if they get him right, it could be a real good thing. I think the price is very acceptable for him. I think, especially when I heard Paul come off the track and say to Willie that he wouldn't get off his horse for any other, and Willie come out and said he was very fresh. We're pretty happy with the run, which I didn't expect, because the past few times I know with Lossymouth, he was pretty raging when it lost. So I think he's got a good chance. And I would also give a mention to the one we struggle to say, Editor de G. He beat Nube Negra by 10 lengths, I think, that day, which he was very impressive. And then he's gone and beat these two horses. Now, you could say he had a freebie. You could say Edward Stone, Tom Cannon looked for an Ergamine instead of Editor de G and lost in the race. You could say an Ergamine was free. But at the end of the day, they got beat by the horse. And I feel like what price is he now? 15 to 2, 8 to 1 something?
Editor G is 13 to 2.
13 to 2. I think he's probably the most likely third favourite. Well, most likely horse to place, and I think he's a solid place bet. But for me, I'm still in the Mullins camp, and I think there's a lot of improvement on the last run. And I think we're going to clash on this one. What are you saying?
Yeah, no, I think we are. I think I'm fully in the Edward Stone camp. I think the run last time, he obviously held him up. He held him up in the Editor Jeep race before when he fell. It's just a silly mistake, but I totally put a line through that. I personally think that they were looking at that race, the result, and thinking when it comes to the Cheltenham race, they were thinking we've got Editor Jeep in hand here. All we need to do is follow in Ergamine, and we'll get this race won. And before you know it, it would just come away from him. But the turn of foot that Edward Stone showed for me to get up alongside Editor Jeep, making up all that ground, which was quite impressive, and he just left himself a little bit too much to do, and there's enough left in the tank. I think a race run differently, I think the form would have been reversed. In terms of an Ergamine, I sort of went back through the form, and he's obviously got great cruising speed. His jumping, his asset is his jumping, and I don't really know why they've run him like they did. I thought they should just bounce him out in front and go for it and let them catch him, a little bit like the Ascot race against Shishkin, where he went out in front. Everything else was gone apart from Shishkin in that race. And you could say after that, he gets a freebie in the championship. Shishkin obviously bombs out. Another monsoon race. He then goes back to Ireland and beats Shakan, who's probably over the hill by now. And I just think he's won a nothing race first time out, and he's come into this and he's obviously been beaten. To me, it's a little bit like Vassal Vega, the bomb out, and I can't really go in again. It just sort of put me off, and I've proper grown to like Edward Stone. I think he travels and he jumps really well, and it's just his turn of foot at the end. I think he's going to have too much pace for this lot. I really do. The only other one I'd maybe give a little bit of a mention is probably Gentleman to Me each way at sort of 9 to 1. You know, it was very impressive last time out. He would have to take another step forward, I think, but he's definitely seems to be a bit of a spring horse. Obviously, he beat Edward Stone at Aintree last year, the end of last year. Edward Stone obviously come back off the Arkle win, where, to be fair, when he won the Arkle, he was nearly brought down in the Arkle, if you remember, and he still got up to one, so he's got a little bit in the engine. And I just think he's going to go I think he's going to go and win, and I really do. So I think 15 to 8 is a good price. I'm happy to take that. And I'm happy to see him go and beat him in Ergamine and send him packing back to Ireland with old Mullins.
Yeah, no, to be fair, I was going to say there, I did have an Ergamine last year, and obviously both horses have the form. I would probably say an Ergamine's form in the runs look a bit better. He jumps well, and like you say, he's got a real impressive turn of foot. I just think, for me, in the last run, when I watch it, now, both horses got the tactics wrong. Edwardstone had a lot of ground to make up, and I heard Ruby Walsh say this. It's very hard to make ground up from the back of the pack when other horses are accelerating, because you've got like twice the distance to sort of make up, and there's a lot of energy preserved on the horse. Now that's the thing which boiled down for me. I think if an Ergamine bulls out, you know, I know he done it in the championships, but like you said, Shishkin bombed out. There was no real depth in the race. But if he builds on and he just builds on high cruising speed, I do think Edwardstone could have a bit too much to find up that Cheltenham hill, personally. But it's up for debate. I think it's going to set up for a real good race, and I think one could comfortably beat the other, my opinion.
No, I'd probably agree with that. I think as long as they both get there and they both run the races, hopefully we'll have a bit of a good clash, and we can put it to bed once and for all, and one of them will come out a worthy winner in the end.
100%.
Right, next one, the cross country. We're going to cross country next, and this is obviously was everyone's banker of the festival, I reckon, and now it's probably a little bit up in the air. I'd have thought. We've got Delta Work 11-10. We've got Galvin, the Flying the Ointment at 5-2. Franco Deport 7-1, back on the last 16-1, 20-1. The rest. What do you think on this? Are we sticking with Delta Work, or is it going to be like last? Is it going to be like last year, Tiger last year?
Sticking with Delta Work. I think. Well, I did see Coddy on the podcast say that Galvin scored very well. He's a very high class horse. I just think Delta Work's been there. He's done it. You know, to be fair, I know a lot of people were turning up the nose about his last run, but I don't think it was too bad. The weight he gave away, the jockey that was on board. The thing for Delta Work for me is he always runs a good race, and his jumping's impeccable. And I think at Cheltenham, you've got to have that, especially in the cross country. You've got that many obstacles. You've got to be so versatile, so light on your feet for a horse. And I think he does that well. And he stayed against Tiger. Would he won last year if it was good ground? I don't think so.
I suppose that'd be my little argument. That my little question back to you. Why you're going on about that? Is the ground going to come up a little bit too good for him if somebody like Galvin's in there?
Yeah, see, I completely know what you're saying, but he won. It wasn't an unbelievable race, but he did win on yielding at Punchestown over 3 mile, won the cross country there. I just think he's been there and done that for me, and that. He'd done it fresh last year, which obviously Galvin could do this year, and there's a reason they've put him in. But I'm going to stick with a boy. In the middle, I can see the scarf. I'm sticking with it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I do agree. Obviously, it was heartbreak last year with Tiger Roll. I couldn't believe it. The whole ground going against him. To be fair, I'd already got Tiger Roll beat in that race with the ground. The ground obviously was terrible. And just the fact that he come there travelling like he did, I was absolutely heartbroken to see Delta Work and Jack Kennedy pointing his finger in the air as he run past me. But a little bit of a similar situation, like I said, Delta Work coming at this with Galvin. He's put Galvin in there. Obviously, it seems a bit of an afterthought with Galvin, similar to what happened last year with Delta Work. But I think Delta Work's probably going to have too much experience over the cross country. I think the run at Cheltenham last time, giving all that weight away, was a really good run. And I don't mind him getting beat in that race, because I always think if he gets close in that race, giving all that weight away, come travelling like the winner anyway, he just got slightly outstayed towards the end. Like I said, the ground might be sort of good to soft maybe, but I don't think it's too bad for him. He's miles ahead of the rest. The only one in the race is obviously Galvin, but Galvin, like I say, he might be schooling okay and all that, that's fine, but he's got to actually do it on the track. And until that point, we've got to stick with Delta Work, I think, and I'm happy to stick him probably in a few ACCAs we're going to have on the day and across the week. And if he don't win and Galvin wins, well, I think we'll just have to take it on chin, don't you think?
Yeah, 100%. Like I say, I'm just looking through his form there, and he's been beaten 60 lengths nearly in his last 2 races.
Yeah, he's sort of bombed out, hasn't he, at that level?
for me, yeah, he sort of bombed out. Like I say, I'm repeating it again. I watched the Coddy podcast and I'd seen that they took him dressage. For dressage, and they said he's strengthened up a bit. But like you said there, I think for me, and what is so important is, and the difference I think will be on the day. Delta Work's been in for the race since he won it last year, and I think it's a bit of an afterthought for Galvin, and I can see Galvin bombing out.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Or they just put him out back and let him trot round, which is what they should have done with Delta Work last year.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Right, next race then. Last race on the Wednesday, the Champion Bumper. And as I'm looking down at the prices, actually, A Dream to Share has gone favourite at 4-1. It's For Me, 4-1. Fun, 8-1. Chaper de Soleil, 9-1. Better Days Red, 12-1. Western Diego, 12-1. Factor Foul, 12-1. 16-1. The rest. What are your thoughts on this? Obviously, It's For Me was up to sort of 3-1 favourites, drifting out a touch now.
Yeah, so for me, bit of a strange one. I've not really got a strong opinion on it. I don't think it's a tough race this year because last year you knew Facile Vega was Mullins' favourite, and Mullins sold a strong hand in this every year.
He's got 14 entered in it this year at the moment.
No one knows who he's. No one really has a sort of inkling. I know Fun for me, I think is probably Mullins' best chance.
Do you think I sort of heard a rumbling that she wasn't going to go here? I think she's a mare Fun. She could go to some other race potentially, but I may be wrong.
Maybe. I just had her down as probably one of the most likely winners. Gets weight from the rest. Great turn of foot the last day. Probably should come on from that run. So I did like that run. Obviously off for a while before that as well. Lily Dubelair,
Lily de Burley, yeah?
Yeah, is not a bad yardstick really. But for me, which I think is a bit of value, I'm going to go for Better Days Ahead.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's Elliot's best horse. I was impressed the last day. Took a keen hold. The question for me all race was, will he find anything? Will he find anything? And I think Coddy gave him a little shake of the reins and he just took them all up. The ground that day was, let's say, bogging to put it on the nice side, and I do think he'll improve. I think he'll improve for the ground too. And for me, the deciding factor for me was, it's Gordon Elliott's best horse.
Yeah, did Better Days Ahead beat Chapeau de Soleil? That's that one, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And Chapeau de Soleil is also smaller in the market, so I think this is definitely the value.
Yeah, I'm surprised because, to be fair, I'm in agreement with you. I'd have Better Days Ahead. You've got Better Days Ahead 12-1, Chapeau de Soleil at 9-1. I'd have Better Days Ahead over Chapeau de Soleil, to be honest. I know he didn't go all Chapeau de Soleil's way and they were staying on, but I think Better Days Ahead, they were never getting to him. Do you know what I mean?
No, yeah, 100%.
For me in this race, like I say, it's a little bit of a minefield. A Dream to Share has obviously gone favourite after being bought by JP. They're obviously beating Factor File at DRF. That was quite impressive. There were a lot of people touting Factor File, but obviously disappointed. And again, I think Factor File is probably going to be one for next season. But to me, when you talk about the Champion Bumper and you look at the last few winners, you want something that's a little bit of a staying type, not so much a speed type. You've got the likes of Facile Vega, Envoy, Sir Gerhard, and the last sort of 3 out of 4 winners. They're all now running over longer trips. So for me, I was sort of looking for a staying type. And the one that I fell on was Western Diego at 12-1. I quite like this one. Has been impressive over further on his last run. Stays and travels well. And I think he'd be a massive player in this. Like I say, it's a bit of a minefield. It's a bit of a throw a dart at it, see what comes out. So I'm just going to take a little bit of a punt on Western Diego. And the only other one I'm going to give a mention to is obviously Queen's Gamble. Queen's Gamble's one that I really like from the start. She's got Cheltenham form. She gets the weight on a lot of these. She travels really well. She'll love the hill. She's obviously been there and done it already up the hill. She was slightly disappointing last time. But again, I think giving weight away, the race wasn't run to suit. She was out in front way too early, I just think. I'd put a complete line through that, and I'd give Queen's Gambler a little squeak at 16-1, and that's probably about it. It's for me is quite strong, but again, sometimes when you see bumper horses in the winning race on the bridle, it's a little bit like Kilcrow-esque. Oh, this is an amazing horse. Look, it's won a bumper off the bridle. Can it go and do it in a champion bumper? Sometimes they don't, sometimes they do. But
100%.
no, I think my two little darts will be Western Diego and Queen's Gamble on the champion bumper.
Yeah, and I think mine's each way definitely Better Days Ahead. And just a little pointer, Better Days Ahead won his point-to-point over 3 mile very cosily.
Well, there you go. That could be a little line into that. So Better Days Ahead could be a squeak there then.
Yeah.
What would so go on then? So day 2, what would your nap be for day 2?
My nap at the current prices is definitely Good Land.
Good Land.
Yeah.
For the nap, and I will nap Edward Stone in the champion chase. I think he's got an absolutely unbelievable chance.